Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me. So I am currently sitting outside at the moment. As this is Thailand, nothing ever goes to plan. So I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes to see if anybody's going to join in, and then I'll get started. Okay, I'm just gonna get started. So my name is Becca. I am currently in Thailand. I have been in Thailand for 10 years this year. Initially, I never planned on coming to stay for this long. I actually came to Thailand in 2013 as a volunteer to volunteer for just a couple of months. I was a university student at the time, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was studying Scottish history, Celtic civilization and Gaelic in university. So basically ensuring that I could do nothing outside of Scotland, which is where I'm from. And the reason I took the subject was because it was something I enjoyed. I figured if I was going to go to uni, I might as well enjoy it while I'm there, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I decided after my first year that I would come and spend some time in Thailand and just take a break, because I wasn't really enjoying university. So I wanted to do something that I knew I would enjoy. I love animals, so I found an organisation that let me volunteer with elephants. It was a rescue organisation where you were able to go and work with elephants that had been rescued from the trekking industry and the logging industry, and it was something I was really passionate about. So I decided that I would come, spend 2 months volunteering there, and then take some time to travel around. Then about 6 weeks in, the organisation offered me a job, and I took it. I didn't even think about it. I dropped out of university. I told my mum after the fact that I'd done it, and I've been here ever since. So in the last 10 years I have worked with 2 large animal welfare organisations, wildlife. I've also worked with a dog sanctuary, which is currently where I am at the moment, at Rescue Paws in Wahin. Then, sorry everyone, my husband is slowly walking towards me about to ask me questions, because in true Thai style there's no way to be discreet about anything. So yeah, I've worked with 2 of the largest animal welfare organisations in Asia. I've worked with a dog rescue where I'm currently at just now. I've also taught kindergarten, primary school. I've done a lot of high school English camps, and I've done multiple things with the tourist police in Thailand as well. And I got started with Xplore Asia. So after my time at the elephant sanctuary was finished, I knew I wanted to stay in Thailand, and decided that teaching was something I was interested in. After leaving high school, I actually taught in South America for a year, in a really remote village in the Amazon rainforest, like no electricity, no running water, nothing like that. So I was there for a year, really enjoyed it, and decided I could do that again. So I found Xplore Asia through a web search, and saw that they do TESOL training to get you prepared to teach English as a second language, and they find you a placement afterwards, which is what I was looking for. So I did my TESOL course, and then I was placed with a kindergarten school in Rayong, Thailand, which was not my first choice, I have to say. My first teaching experience had been with high school students, and I thought, no, that's what I'm good at, that's where my confidence is. I have no idea how to teach little kids. Then I started and I had the best time. If anyone asks me now what's my favourite level to teach, it's kindergarten, because you get to be funny, you get to just have fun with them, you get to see them develop so quickly. Something that you can spend, you know, weeks doing with a primary school class or a middle school class, these guys, because it's through song and games and play, pick it up so quickly. And it was definitely something that I thoroughly enjoyed doing. So I've taught in Rayong, which is in East Thailand. I've taught in Central Thailand as well, done some English camps down south, and yeah, it's been a really amazing experience. I love Thailand. I mean, I've been here for 10 years now, and you know, there's just no place like it. It's easygoing, it's calm. Everything is at your own pace. There's a thing I love, which is Thai time, where if you say you'll be there at 8:30, then, you know, 9 o'clock you'll stroll in like nothing's changed. It's somewhere where you can just be very relaxed and just kind of go with the flow. With that being said, it is probably one of the biggest things that people struggle with. Coming from the West, we're used to, if you have a meeting at 8:30, then everyone is there at 8:28 ready to get started. Here, you know, somebody might cancel the meeting and forget to tell you. It is very much, you just have to roll with it. So during my first teaching experience with kindergarten, something that I hadn't realised was that the school also did after school programs. So when I'd spent the day teaching kindergarten, playing games, doing dances and everything with them, there was a bit of a shift to then go into teaching primary school kids, you know, doing one-on-one classes with them, and trying to get into like that different set frame of mind to teach an older student to begin with was difficult, but after a few weeks of doing it, it kind of came second nature, where I would find myself, regardless of the class you put me in front of, I knew how to approach it, and I knew what kind of content to use and how best to, you know, get the students interested, get them engaged, and give them the best lesson possible. But that all comes with experience. If any of you are planning on coming to teach in Thailand, what I would say is don't expect to walk into the classroom and kill it on your first day, because you will be nervous. It doesn't matter that the kids are 4 or 5 years old or 18 years old, you will be nervous, which is totally fine, you know. Everybody expects to go in and just do it, especially if you've done like the TESOL training, if you've been in the classroom with your peers and doing lessons. There's a big difference between, you know, doing practice lessons in front of someone who already speaks English and going into a classroom where they don't speak a word of English. It's a very big shift. But as they say, practice makes perfect. So the best thing that you can do is just give it your all, make sure you're prepared, walk into the classroom and know that at the end of the day, you will have taught someone something. Your second day is going to be that little bit easier, the third even more so. And by the time, you know, you're 2 months in, you're just going in and having a really good time with your students. So it's important to remember that you're not going to be amazing straight away. If you are, that's fantastic. But a lot of people find that, you know, in their first few weeks, they start questioning, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And those little voices you hear in your head that tell you that will be gone in just a little bit longer. So just keep powering through, keep doing the best that you can, and you know, just make sure that you are confident in the fact that you will get better. It just takes a little bit of time. Having been here for 10 years, I speak fairly decent Thai. I'm nowhere near fluent though. and I tend to understand more than I can say. Now, the reason for this is my confidence, in all honesty. Thailand is somewhere where it's a tonal language, so we have 5 different words that to somebody who doesn't speak Thai sound exactly the same, but they have a rising tone, a falling tone, a middle tone, you know, and all these 5, depending on the tone that you use, is can mean something completely different. But the way that I learned and improved was just using it. Unfortunately, you know, when someone who English isn't their first language speaks to you in English, you try and listen to the context of what they're saying, so that if they get a word wrong or they say it in a strange way, you're like, oh, hold on, you mean this, and then you continue the conversation. In a lot of places in Thailand, that's not the case. If you say something incorrectly, they're like, what are you talking about? But again, it just comes with practice. I would recommend from the day you get into Thailand, use the basic Thai that you know. Say hello to people, say thank you. If you go to the market, try and ask for something in Thai, ask how much something costs. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Thai overall is actually very simple. They don't have tenses. You know, we have I went, I will go, I'm going. We have all of these different tenses, whereas they have bye, you know, and it all means the same. So it's actually a very simple language to learn. It's just difficult to master those tones. But the more you practice, the more you'll feel confident to do so. And depending where you are, people might, you know, feel a little bit like, I speak a little bit of English and want to communicate with you in that way. I like to see it, and I like to tell people that come here that every opportunity is a learning opportunity. So it could be that you'll meet someone who says, oh, I really want to learn English, could you teach me? And you can say, absolutely, can you teach me Thai? And something that I like to do with my husband, who is Thai, is I will speak to him in Thai and he will speak to me in English. So, you know, we have to try and first figure out what the other is saying and then how to communicate it back to them. It can be very interesting depending on what we're talking about, but it is a good way to learn. Because I think one of the things that people struggle with a lot when they come is just how different things are here, you know. We're getting more and more things that you have in the West. You know, we have Grab, which is basically Uber. We have like delivery, food delivery now. You've got Grab, Line, I think there's something called Panda, you know, so we've got a lot of those same things which are brand new to Thailand, but a lot of the things we have here now are stuff that you would see in the West, but there will be a lot of things that you're like, oh, this is brand new to me and I'm not sure. Especially if you end up going somewhere rural and you're not comfortable driving a moped, or you're not sure how to drive one, or you don't drive a car, you'll have to use public transport. And that comes in a whole manner of different forms here. You've got motorbike taxis, normal taxis, song taus, which are basically modified pickup trucks that have benches in the back. Song tau means 2 benches. If you're in the bigger cities, there's the BTS, which is the SkyTrain, the MRT, the Underground. So depending on where you are, there will be a lot of different ways to get around. If you're not sure, ask someone, you know. A perfect way to use your Thai, learn how to ask, how do I get to somewhere, and ask one of the locals. I found that when I lived in Rayong, which is where I did my first teaching placement, I didn't have a bike. I was too scared to drive one. I have my driver's license, but I didn't have a car, and I didn't know like even how to get one, how to rent a car or anything. So I found that for the first couple of weeks I didn't tend to venture very far because I didn't know how to. And then one day I got really bored at home and I went and asked someone, how do you get to the mall? And they told me straight away, you get on this song tau, tell them that's where you're going, get off and pay your 20 baht, which is what, 50p, 75 cents, something like that. So off I went, got onto my song tau, got off at the other end, ended up buying a whole bunch of stuff that I really needed for my house, and felt so much more confident. The following weekend I went somewhere else. I waved the song towel down and I asked, do you go to, I think it was the beach I wanted to go to, do you go to the beach? Yeah, absolutely. Jumped on and away I went. So definitely my top tips for somebody who arrives in Thailand is use Thai as soon as you get here, even just the basics of hi, how are you, where is the, something like that. Figure out your public transportation as soon as you can. There is nothing worse for culture shock than feeling like you're stuck in one place. So a way to combat that is definitely finding out how you can get around. You want to make sure that you're able to have a work-life, personal life balance. So if you're going in and just going to school every day and then going home and watching Netflix or something, you're going to find that culture shock's going to really creep up on you. And cultural shock affects everybody. I'd been in Thailand for 2 years by the time that I moved to Rayong, and having just moved to a different part of Thailand where I didn't know anybody, I got culture shock again. And had I not figured out, you know, the public transport getting about, being confident to speak to people, I'd have probably left, to be honest. And even now, 10 years later, there's still times where I sit and think to myself, oh, I really want to go home. I think I'm done. And then I go home and visit, and within about five days of being there, I'm like, nope, I'm ready to leave again. You know, you always miss what's not there, and then once you finally get it, you're like, no, I think I preferred the way things were back in Thailand. So it's definitely a roller coaster, culture shock, but it's one you have to ride, you know. And I've always found that if you put in the effort to make yourself feel comfortable, the culture shock can be over quite quickly. And Thailand, it's known as the land of smiles. You know, people are very welcoming. A lot of them, you're going to find people who'll tell you they speak a little bit of English, and their version of a little bit and our version of a little bit are so different. I can't tell you how many people I've met that said, oh, I only speak a little bit of English, and I've had a full-blown conversation with them. Like, your English is amazing. Like, this is practically, you know, a native speaker conversation that, oh no, I don't know too much. Whereas when I say I speak a little bit of Thai, I mean like an actual little bit, you know. So you don't need to be shy around Thai people. To be honest, you know, when someone tells you they only speak a bit of English, it's because they're scared of embarrassing themselves. There's a big thing in Thailand about losing face, you know, embarrassing yourself, trying to do something and failing. That's a no-no. They hate doing that. So if you were to speak Thai to someone and completely mess it up because you're brand new, you're actually giving them the confidence to speak English to you, because if they mess up, you're on an even playing field. It just makes all of that difference. Lay's just asked, are co-workers welcoming? How are the locals English? Are they happy to try and communicate? So yeah, just as I've said there, you know, they want to learn. So many people will come up to you and ask for English. Your students, even the other teachers might even say, can you give me some lessons? It's a great way to make extra pocket money, and people do want to learn. English, I think the important thing to remember is if your students are not good at English, it will be a subject that they're scared of and dislike. If you think back to when you were at school, think of the subject that you were the least proficient in. You hated going to it because you hated failing. So it's the exact same here. You know, make your classroom welcoming, engage with your students, let them know from the minute they walk in the door, it's okay to get it wrong, we'll work on it together. You know, school's a place to learn. You're not meant to come in and know all these things already. If you did, I'd be out of a job. So it's good for them to know this is a place where you can come, you can get things wrong, and we'll work on it together. And just remind yourself how you felt going into a classroom of a subject you weren't very good at, and you'll get where your kids are coming from. Your co-workers, depending on where you are, they may be very proficient in English, or they may speak a very little bit. It really depends. Now, the friends I've made that have been out here, the ones who live in Bangkok and Chiang Mai and like the really big cities, because there's so much tourism there, they actually speak a lot less Thai because they don't need to. You tend to find that if something's not a necessity, you're less likely to do it. If you can get around easily speaking English, that's likely what you're going to use. Whereas I have a friend, she went to a rural a rural city. I say city, it was a tiny little town. None of the signs were in English, you know. She was in the middle of nowhere. She was the only English speaker there, and she ended up becoming fluent in Thai in about 18 months through necessity, you know. And I always ask her now, like, oh, do you ever regret not having like the big city life? And she says no, because she got like that real Thai experience with the school with no aircon and the little wooden desks, and she says it's the best thing that she's ever done. And having gone to like a lot of rural locations to do English camps and stuff, I get what she means. There are schools here where the kids will all have iPads, your classroom will be air conditioned, you'll have all the latest tech, or you could be somewhere where you've got a blackboard with a tear through the middle of it and broken bits of chalk. It really depends where you are and what you're looking to get out of your experience. But I say to everybody, you know, you should give everything a chance, because you never know what you're going to enjoy and what will bring out the best in you, basically, you know. As a teacher in Thailand, I'd have to say that my favourite thing is just how happy the kids are when you walk into the classroom. Like when I was teaching primary school, my grade 1, I would walk in and they would cheer, and there's nothing more wholesome than having a class that's just so excited to see you. You know, I used to sing songs with them at the start. We had a How Are You Today song, and part of it was like, I am happy. And then no matter what time it was, if I walked around school, my kids would all, teacher, I'm happy. And it was just so sweet to see, you know, like, your students are what really make your experience as a teacher. You've got your personal life, sure, you can go do what you want in that, but when you're in the school, your students are what are going to make your experience for you. And just watching and celebrating the little wins with them. One of the more difficult things in Thailand, I have to say though, is the lack of understanding for special education. You may walk into a school and they may point out the students and tell you that they're autistic. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they've been diagnosed with autism, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they actually have autism. It's just assumed that students who have trouble focusing or have lots of energy, or, you know, are struggling with the work, are autistic. It could be dyslexia, it could be ADHD, it could be a whole number of things. I myself am not an expert on the subject, but it can be difficult to go in and know that people have already written off this child because they haven't figured out how to get through to them. And one of my most treasured memories as a teacher was, I went in on my first day and this student in my grade 3 class pointed out to me and they said, he's autistic, don't worry about him. And in my mind I was like, no, that's not what we're here to do. So I sat down, I set all the other students a task, and I sat down with them and chatted with him a little bit and saw what he was doing. You know, he was looking at a train book, and very quickly figured out that trains were what he loved to do. You know, you could ask him anything on trains and this kid knew exactly what to do. So I started developing my lessons. If we were doing something on restaurants, I developed a little something for him about what was in the restaurant cart of the train. If we were doing locations, where would he take the train to? If we were doing the time, what time does the train come in? What time does it leave? When's it due to arrive? You know, all of these just little bits, making it a bit train focused. And at the end of the year, the kids who did their exam, and again I gave him a different exam based on trains, and at the end of the year he sat down, he did his test, and he got 100%. And I to celebrate all the the kids all did great, but to celebrate like those 100%, we did a little like ceremony in the classroom where the few kids like stood up, and I'd say to everyone, you all did amazing, you did fantastic. A few people got 100%, so let's give them a big clap. And he stood up when I said his name. Oh, getting all emotional about it. And they all cheered, and it was just lovely. Oh. And that's why you want to do this. You want to do it for them. Because this was 6 years ago. I mean, he's probably left school now, or you know, he's in high school now, and I still think about it. I spent a lot of time as a TESOL trainer for Xplore Asia, actually, where I trained other teachers how to go out and do this. And every time I would tell them that story, you know, it would just always get to me. And it's my proudest moment here, I have to say. It's my proudest moment. So if you're on the fence about whether you want to teach overseas, if you are interested in learning a new culture, learning a language, seeing another country, experiencing another way of life, if you're just interested to see what is outside of your comfort zone, do it. Like, what's a year, in all honesty? I think we can all say that after spending, you know, a year at home because of COVID. What is a year? And this could be the best decision you've ever made. I came here for 2 weeks and I've been here for 10 years. If you are interested in getting a new perspective on life and doing something that's truly meaningful, do it. Okay, everybody, I think I've about wrapped up now. If anybody would like to ask further questions, please comment under the video. I'll be checking it regularly and happy to answer any other questions that you do have. I'm a very firm believer that teaching overseas is one of the best things that you can do. There's a lot of opportunities where, you know, if you come at the right time of year, you only have to do it for a few months. You know, dip your toe, see if it's something you're interested in. You might find that you've found a new career that you're in love with. So if anyone does have any questions, please comment underneath and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you for joining me. Sawadee ka.